Good afternoon, everyone. And for those who are watching us from different time zones, good morning or good evening. My name is Marilyn. I'm the founder and CEO of Customized Training Solutions Private Limited, or CTS. And we are passionate about helping leaders and organizations who are continuous learners and action takers to transform and thrive in all aspects by co creating customized programs with our world class resources. We have served over 3,000 leaders from over 30 countries in different industries, including Petronas, Sony Mobile, PruLife UK, Ayala Group, Chevron, Tencent, Jollibee Foods Corporation, and Shell, to name a few. And the reason why we are organizing interventions similar to this interview is because we want to help leaders who don't know how to stay relevant and adapt to the next normal, those who find it stressful to lead and ensure a performance of a remote team, or now I think it's more appropriate to call it hybrid uh, workspace. And for those who are afraid that you can't keep your team and business, so to be able to stay relevant and continue to lead effectively in any situation, I hope these interventions will help you. So today, it's my great pleasure to introduce our leader. His name is Chris Anthony. He has about 32 years of engagement in the hospitality and service industry and last worked for a premium group of hotels in Cambodia as a corporate director of people and development. He has been providing training and consulting services that not only enhances employees' relations and productivity, but also address the wide variety of HR and training challenges facing in today's working environment. A highly experienced consultant and facilitator, he is committed to a personal mission of empowering people to find their voices towards achieving their goals. And Chris facilitates several workshops for senior managers, middle managers, supervisors, for corporations in major locations like Cambodia, Thailand, Brunei, Guam, Malaysia, China, Maldives, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Singapore. And without so much further ado, I'd like to bring in Chris. Hi, Chris. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and
Marlene?
yes, it's my pleasure to have you. And just to give them like a background on how I get to know you and why I invited you, you were introduced by a common friend or within the same community of HR, which is Marie, who's based in Cambodia, but also a Filipino, I would say. And now we're both based here in Singapore. So hopefully we can find ways to be able to collaborate and to help each other in ways to add value to others, whether it's a leader or an organization, right?
Yes, sure.
Yeah. So I mean, as you know, I would ask the 8 questions I would normally have, and but there might be additional questions or comments that I might ask based on the conversation. But we look forward to learning from your experiences and authentic stories as well. So to start with, please do share with us your leadership experiences, and probably if you have like a favorite leadership influencer, leadership style. Please feel free to share with us as well.
Sure, sure. My pleasure. Okay. You, where shall I begin with now? First, I must say thank you very much, Marlene, for having me sharing my experiences with those professionals, practitioners, you know people who are willing to learn a little bit more. It is not a really a learning experience that I want to pursue now. It will be like a sharing my background, sharing my experiences over a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, where do I begin? I began actually my work people focused vocation from a trade union. I
Mm-hmm.
actually worked for a trade union in Singapore as an industrial relations officer. That's where I began my work. I took a liking for solving people problems. you know, as you know, trade unionists, you undertake a lot of IR matters, industrial
Mhm.
relation matters. They resolve amicably. They attend to whatever grievances they may have. And I took pleasure in working with these people, literally working with them, understanding their grievances, understanding their problems. It was great fun. But over the years, I sort of I got drifted into HR. Uh, People who were quite familiar with me asked me if I would like to switch to the other side of the fence. So I said, well, hesitatingly, I said, okay, let me try, because my passion was with the trade union, but now I move into having negotiated on collective agreements, uh, undertaking grievances, counseling. I sort of quite reluctant, but I took up HR, and that when I took up, I felt that it was quite linked. It was together, um, and I started learning from IR. I moved into HR proper. That was my beginning. My work had taken me a lot in Singapore as well as other countries. Yeah, so um, my first country which I traveled, which I was based, was Maldives.
Wow.
Yeah, that was something which took me out of Singapore. In Singapore, I worked with several organizations, but I felt that I should work outside Singapore. So I went to Maldives, first on a very short stint, but somehow rather I got drifted into full-time job in Maldives. My first job was with Soneva Fushi, overseas, I mean. It was a five-star resort, very luxurious resort, and I was the HR director. Uh, Having got my background in HR, I felt, although I was a little jittery having to work outside Singapore, but confidently I took up the job. And then it was a large group of hotels. At that point of time, the group had about 16 hotels. Gradually, I also became the group HR director. After spending some good time with a lot of hard work though, in Maldives, I was transferred to it's another property in Bangkok, and it was in not in Bangkok, Thailand, and it is a place called Hua Hin. I was there as a HR director for two hotels, two resorts, and then was transferred to Bangkok. And then the group had some good people working in other properties, so they asked me to go to Maldives. That's how I landed, more in Maldives. So having worked in Maldives, I was transferred to Bangkok, and then from Bangkok, again, I was asked to go back to um, uh, I was asked to go back to Maldives. But while in Maldives, um, I enjoyed the stay there. I was very happy to work with a group of people, and the people were quite different from where I come from Singapore. The
Mhm.
culture was quite different. The Thais were totally different from the Maldivians. It was a learning experience for me. Um, and while I was back in Maldives, I became the regional HR director for a group of hotels, resorts, um, and I took upon my other task, which was training and development. That was my passion.
Mhm.
I started learning that, and well, my experience gradually enriched me in many ways. Meeting new people, learning myself. I was learning new things, learning about the cultural differences. all those sort of enriched me a lot. And that journey never stopped after that. I continued working, and then there were other properties who also sought my experience. Some of them had properties, different properties, like in Guam. I was in Guam. My work took me to uh, other resorts within Maldives. What I'm trying to say is that it sort of it gave me a lot of confidence, and there was no break for me after that. From Thailand, uh, I had to go to Cambodia. That was my last place. Uh, I had a beautiful boss, my senior, called Richard Dusum, who
Mm-hmm.
recognized my talents. He was my managing director and resort manager in Maldives. But when he was in Thailand, sorry, in Cambodia, he was looking for me and asked me to join him. So then, when he offered me in Cambodia, without any hesitation, I took up that position. Until till just about very recently, um, because of COVID, the dilemma was also quite prevalent in Cambodia. I had to come back home. But when I came back home, I did not idle my time. So I was still into training and development, going to places like Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Brunei, and some of the places where they want to develop hospitality training.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sought, and happily I started packing my bags and going to all these places.
Wow.
And
Thank you.
I've not stopped
Yes.
as
Thank
yet.
you for sharing your experience with us. And I mean, based on your experience moving around properties in different countries, and also like what you've said, which enrich you with experiences and learning, about the different cultures from different countries that you work with, which gained you confidence from that experience. So, having said that, your experience with a managing director that you work with as well. What would you say is leadership for you?
Well, uh, leadership, very interesting. You work with people, you need to understand people,
Mm-hmm.
you need to help people, you need to guide people, you need to advise people, encourage people. There are a lot of elements involved in leadership. Some of the main things I recognized was important was helping people to set goals for them, helping them to achieve their expectations. Motivate people, motivate the staff as a leader, set good examples, not only for yourself, but you want to guide them. Um, Sometimes, inevitably, you might have to do some unpleasant tasks like um, employee terminations. As a leader, you have to be very tactful. You have to be very careful in what you say. You have to manage the benefits for the staff. And also, you got to identify people, their talent, and develop them. And of course, when developing them, you also, as a leader, got to identify people in the succession planning, how to nurture them, how to guide them, and bring them forward to higher levels of position. To me, basically, leadership is motivating them, guiding them, in a nutshell, understanding them, and building them to the higher level.
Thank you for summarizing that again for us. And hopefully, I've summarized it correctly. Leadership is about working with people, helping them set goals, achieve their expectations, motivate them, and of course, set examples. And
Yes.
again, like I've been hearing that over and over again, that leadership is about. You know, setting an example or leadership by example, right? Walking
Yes.
talk and all those stuff. So thank you for sharing that with us. And during my introduction, and even when you shared your experience with us, right, you have mentioned about like the effect of COVID-19, reason why you've actually moved back to where you are from here in Singapore, which of course doesn't stop you to still like facilitate programs or consult for clients in different countries, which is, I guess, it's similar to most of us. We can't really stop adding value despite of the current situation, right? And so that leads me to my next question. How would you define or describe the next normal?
Well, I have this new normal, or the next normal they call it. How do you approach um, the new normal?
Mm-hmm.
As you know, well, be it in Singapore or in any country, COVID has taken a tremendous impact, or adverse in fact maybe, uh, in organizations. So
Mm-hmm.
organizations will have to look at things differently. They want to look at their staff's productivity level, continue to protect themselves from illness, look at the way things are being worked in their respective organizations. A new normal gives, apart from working the way that they have been working, or we have been working, it's a new way of looking at things, the
Mm-hmm.
new normal. So uh, the pandemic really has taken a toll on many organizations, many people. So we got to look at a different way of working rather than the usual way. COVID is not gone, it's still around, unfortunately. And then there are many unanswered questions as to how things, from recruitment to their employment till their end of their work in the organization, things will have to be looked differently.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel that um, the worst is not over yet, but organizations, leaders in the organizations will have to look at things differently than their usual self.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us. And again, like I mean, changes and uncertainty has been around for the longest time. Although it's kind of the COVID has heightened a lot of changes in most aspects of organization, like what you've said, like from how can you still have like productivity within the work places or within a hybrid setting. How can you protect your people, how can you maintain the well-being and mental health of the people around you or that you work with, how can you continue to give that experience, right, employee experience when they are actually working from home
Yes,
or in a
yes,
remote setting. And it's really like what you've said, it's really like a new way of looking at things.
sure.
In fact, I just read an article earlier, uh, which was like a research done by Curly de Guzman as well, where she was actually talking about hybrid space. And like most, I mean, right now most companies are going back to office, right?
Yes,
So like several leaders from different industries in different countries actually shared their insights on that article. So yeah, check that out as well. So, and I
yes,
mean that relates a lot on when it comes to like what we are talking about now on the
sure.
next normal, right? And
Right.
so I would say the next three questions would be the meaty part of the conversation. So from your experience as a corporate leader and working now with corporate leaders still, what would you say would be the top three problems that leaders do normally face?
Sorry, come again. I didn't grasp that the last part of the question.
What would be the top three problems that most leaders do normally face?
Oh, okay. I wouldn't say top three problems with a pandemic, there are more than three, top three, yes. Um, Retaining talent,
Mm-hmm.
because every industry or every organization, when they identify talent, they want to retain them
Mm-hmm.
and build the organization.
Mm-hmm.
However, people who have got this kind of a situation, the situation not only in the organization, universally, retaining good people is a big challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that you cannot you cannot retain them because of the situation. The other challenge I feel is, if you want to develop them, learning and development, it should take priority. This is my opinion. But
Mm-hmm.
then organizations cannot allude to this situation where they have to train people, because that is important, but yet they have to focus on some other areas. So I feel that is one area, two areas, that um, retaining people, uh, telling people or showing people the new way of working.
Mm-hmm.
That's another challenge for people, because many staff have been working in a set way, and then now when you want to introduce new ways, either they become weary or they become very
Mm-hmm.
concerned. So in order to have that mindset change, it's quite different. So
Mm-hmm.
these are the small areas, but I think I'll go even more than that. Their job descriptions change, their work methods change.
Mm-hmm.
All these become their challenges.
True. Yeah. So, did I get it right? You mentioned the top problems will be retaining the right talent and being able to train the people on the new ways or having the mindset change. Is there anything more that you'd like to add if you were to, put it as a top three problems that leaders do face?
And I wouldn't want to put it as like top three, but I will encompass many more than the three I
Mm-hmm.
mentioned. Um, First and foremost, leaders should become more courageous,
Mm-hmm.
because they are the ones who are uh, leading the team. They should not be backing out or feel less fearsome.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's important for leaders. They
Mm-hmm.
should become good problem solvers.
Mm-hmm. So, are
You know,
you referring to the problems, or you're actually answering this with the important leadership capabilities or skills that they must
combine.
have?
I
Yeah,
would
you're
combine.
combining it.
Yes, yes.
Okay, let me just flash a summary of what you've shared in the top problems that you've mentioned earlier. Um, Okay. And now you're actually sharing with us like how can leaders still continue to be courageous in what they do. As leaders has to be like um, less fearful or courageous enough to be able to handle situations in the current situation, right?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. And I also think, Marlene, is leaders will have to have the knack to not only guide people, to influence them.
Mhm.
Leaders. I don't know whether I'm right to say this, but I think we are all living, or we were, or we are all living in a fearful situation, fearful, scenario. Um, so that prevents them from talking to the employees. So the influencing skills may not be stretched fully.
Mhm.
So they need to uh, influence the employees. They got
Mhm.
to promote a lot of teamwork. Um, they got to build the trust of these employees. And as leaders, they got to fulfill these criteria,
Mhm.
leverage network, have group discussions, group meetings, group training sessions, where
Mhm.
they become confident. The staff will become confident. So this is the task of leaders within the organization, because if they sense that they are fearful themselves, then the staff will then have no alternative but to protect themselves. They resign, they go back
Mm-hmm.
home, you know. So the leaders have got a tremendous work to do.
True, true. And before I actually like summarize that what you have shared, I just want to thank our viewers, especially William and Sophia for giving us a heart, and Cheryl for giving us a thumbs up. And for those who are actually watching us live, feel free to share your comment, or share with us your questions if you have any, so that Chris or I can actually accommodate any of your questions
Sure.
around learning, leadership, um, and transformation. So okay, I lost the. So go ahead. Do you have any additional you'd like to share when it comes to important skills and capabilities, or that's it for you?
Yeah, well, one striking point I like to add on here will be, um, COVID-19 is not gone.
Mm-hmm.
It still prevails. It's still there. Maybe the
Exactly.
height of it is not that high, that much now.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to be wary in the way that we are doing our work,
Mm-hmm.
and this is very important. Um, Emerging from this situation will take a little longer time, but then leaders should be strong enough to show their employees that they are taking all steps, all precautionary ways
Mm-hmm.
to not prevent, but to lessen the impact of COVID within the organization.
Yes. And we've been hearing a lot around the new normal, next normal, and some are even hoping that, the previous normal is still coming back. But again,
Yes.
like what you've mentioned, COVID-19 is here to stay. From, I guess, from pandemic, it's moving to an endemic. And even like it's kind of common for like most household to have like, yeah, we had COVID. Like even in our own household, the whole family actually got COVID in the
Oh,
last 2 weeks.
oh,
So
really?
yeah, so it's been like, even some of the clients that I would speak with, like meet in Zoom for now, they
Hmm.
would say like, it's okay, I also had COVID 2 weeks ago. Those kind of conversations nowadays. So it's like, okay, so it's becoming more and more common, and at
Yeah,
least that's a pro and cons. There's always a pros and cons, of
sure,
course, in any situation.
sure.
I mean, if like more and more people are getting saying that this is already like a new normal, so that means our immunity as well as a whole
Yes.
would already like, okay, can handle this already, like it's nothing new
Yeah.
anymore for us, right? And again, like there's, I would say, like how would you take this opportunity, right? I mean, I would say that there's a lot of silver lining that the COVID-19 has brought about,
Yes.
even for my business alone, right? I've managed to like experiment a lot of things to be able to like, because I've been thinking like, how can I add value? I used to travel to different countries before to
Mm,
deliver the programs or to visit clients and all those stuff.
mm.
But now that I was not able to travel for the last 2 years, like how can I continue to add value? And part of the add value that we have been given to our clients, to our connections, is having this kind of interviews and other interventions like webinars, masterminds. I also had an opportunity of like running virtual team building using
Oh, really?
gamification. I've experimented running some masterminds, and it has actually like gave me a lot of insights during
Great,
that
great.
conversation and those experiments, like, okay, I have so many ways now to like really help in bridging not between knowledge um to implementation, which is, a common problem for most L&D practitioners or leaders, right? So
Sure,
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
So, and so, like, we've been talking about the importance of continuous learning, and you've mentioned it really enhance your experience and even your confidence, through
Yes.
the experiences
Yeah.
that you have, right? And again, like, it's a continuous effort, right? Because we have
Definitely.
to keep
Definitely.
up, we have to stay adaptable, and you've
Yes.
mentioned that, we have to be courageous enough to be able to influence, to build that
Exactly.
relationship, and even leverage on groups and networks that we might have, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's within our organization or outside the organization, because that discussion might even help us as well, in improving things, and how we handle, all
Yeah.
these challenges, probably, or even opportunities to
Yes.
bring up, like, opportunities to work together, right? And
Sure.
I think,
Sure.
like, that's one of the things also that, I would say, a silver lining that uh, COVID-19 has brought about. I had more, like, collaborations and partnerships and activities that I get to do, in the last 2 years because of that. And it's been, like, really more global than,
Mm,
from probably 12 to 15 countries that we used to have, to serve. Now we had, like, attendees coming from different parts of the world, like,
mm,
wow. And
mm.
then that's really the silver lining. And so, what do you believe is the role of, we've talked about learning, we've talked about leadership. So what do you believe is the role of learning, leadership, and transformation in thriving in the next normal?
Yeah. When we talk about the next normal, uh, I shudder to think that we perhaps from the previous from the previous healthy situation before COVID,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and then slowly COVID came in, and I was I was in Bangkok. Sorry, I was in Cambodia when I first came to know that some key people in my organization had COVID, and to my
Mm-hmm.
surprise, my owners, my group owners had COVID. Then they had to be what do you call sidelined.
Quarantine.
Yeah, and then these were very important people, and they found that the leaders within the group will have to be extra cautious, and then even those people who were not affected, they have to be very alert in communicating with people, uh, listening actively to whatever they have, articulating the importance of COVID, and um, things like this, explaining to people the expressions given to people. Although you alert people on COVID, but then you must communicate with the staff,
Mm-hmm.
communicate with the people, and this was something that I felt uh, in my experience in Cambodia was uh, is still warm in my heart, where things had happened. Thank God, I was safe in the 3 years over in Cambodia, and of course the leaders need to be. They must be able to motivate their staff. People will become down, um, although the COVID situation was increasing at the time. They
Mm-hmm.
should allow employees to have autonomy, ask people for input,
Mm-hmm.
how they can improve, convince them, be persuasive, provide productive solutions for them as
Mm-hmm.
leaders. If you are not uh, if you are avoiding them because of your own safety, then the situation will be sad, will be not good. Um, so this is something that can help in the new norm.
Mm-hmm.
Leaders come forward, although they must take preventive methods, but then they should also understand the plight of the employees.
Mm-hmm.
And in the situation in Cambodia, myself, I felt people who came from the village area, they had taken less precaution.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the right people to advise them on the various methods, so preventive methods. So all these will have to be utilized as leaders. And of course, they also have to be positive. There must be a lot of positivity among the leaders, from the GM right down to all the heads of departments, the
Mm-hmm.
supervisors. They should be briefed, they should be told the importance, how staff can be motivated, strengthened, and improve, and thereby increasing the teamwork.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that you've shared that, there has to be possibility positivity in within the leadership. And again, we're not talking about being positive in COVID, but being positive in their outlook to increase the teamwork within the organization, right? So thank you
Yes.
for sharing that. And nowadays, sometimes, like, when you hear positive, is that positive in COVID or positivity? So just to
Yeah.
be clear on that, you know just taking it lightly to this conversation. So yeah.
Yeah, and
So
also,
I guess.
sorry, and also, I feel that a leader should also be, they should not be hesitant in giving feedback to the employees.
True.
Identify people, give them the feedback, build the trust among them,
Mm-hmm.
so that it's not everyone is going to be affected, but you can prevent people, if you give them the trust, keep them
Mm-hmm.
away, do some follow up,
Mm-hmm.
listening to their problems.
Mm-hmm.
So leaders have got a tremendous task, to help employees in the present situation.
Yeah, and also thank you for reminding us to, be able to increase teamwork. And again, like, from our experience and conversations with so many leaders from around the globe as well, like, teamwork and collaboration has been like a challenge for them, where, like,
Yes.
how can we continue to build trust in a remote setting or in a hybrid setting? How can we actually, like, increase that teamwork or collaboration within teams when we are working in different locations and all those stuff? And that's where actually the experience we had in virtual team building using gamification came about,
Yes.
because of these questions that we've been receiving. And in fact, we're launching it this coming Tuesday on the 19th of April,
Hmm.
where we're giving away a free virtual team building. So
Oh,
we'll be
excellent.
sharing that in the link later on, so people can actually register for that session. It's for free. It's just for an hour. So you would know, like, I believe, like, most organizations are still on a hybrid setting right now.
Mm,
Although, despite that, in most countries, people are starting, or organizations are starting to come back to the office,
mm.
or like work back to the office. But I mean, it's been like a new reality for most of us, where, like, remote working or hybrid setting has been very accepted by most, right? It
Yes.
doesn't really have to be 100% where everyone is back to the
Sure,
office.
sure, sure.
And so, like, what, because we miss to have that connections, communications, teamwork and collaboration. And that's where, like, I would say that the virtual team building makes it more fun, more engaging, and
Yes.
more collaborative in such a way. So we'll be sharing the link as well later on that,
Great,
so
great,
you can also
great. Cheers to
register
that.
for
Cheers
that.
to that.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and that leads me now to the last two questions, which are very open questions, as I mentioned, very interesting on how you get to think about the answer for these two questions, which I would normally call my Miss Universe questions. So, um, the next question is, if you have a magic wand and can use it, what will you do with it?
I wish I had a magic wand for myself. Well, the magic one, will create ripples, will be very effective if it is used more actively.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would use a magic wand if I had it.
Mm-hmm.
Firstly, to improve communications within the
Mm-hmm.
organization,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, when I say improve communication, is not like writing long emails or long
Mm-hmm.
reports. I mean, being able to put some concrete ideas or work methods in the heads of the employees. So that's communication is important. They need to treat employees uh, with compassion. This is a time where they need support, they need help, they need respect. So communicating with them is vital. So the magic one will come effective in communication. The other one is, of course, despite the COVID period, employee development can also motivate them. you
Mm-hmm.
you must have identify good employees, develop them, give them promotion or recognize the skill they have. So that's vital. More importantly than these two, I think the leaders should build trust with the magic one they have. They must give confidence to the employees. um, make the roles they're performing, whether it's trimmed down because of the new normal or whatever, explain to them their responsibilities, be patient with them, and uh, commit to them, commit whatever task you have given to them or they are performing. I think these will help in the use of the magic wand. Motivation is key for me. I always resort to motivating people, encouraging people to improve performance.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is what I would use the magic wand for.
Yeah, and
That
it's
is also tied to rewards. When you trust their work is good, I think it will lead to more through the rewards they receive. They will feel enhanced, and they
Mhm.
will feel they'll work better.
Yes, very
Sorry,
true.
you were saying something.
Yes, and it's good that you remind us about improving communications. And like we've seen in many studies and in many articles and even statistics that communication has been always, the top, I would say, the top challenge for most organizations, right? And again, probably even in personal life, right? Communication has always been an issue, and they've said that, the top 6 out of 10 leadership skills,
Mm.
according to a study, is all related in communication skills. And
Sure,
that's
sure.
how important communications is in the organization. And I would say, like, at least even if you don't have the magic wand, at least through the work that you do through training, in within leadership within organization, at least you get to address all these, what you've shared around communications, and then train
Yes,
employees and giving them confidence, right? To be able to, like, continue to do their work confidently. Yeah.
yes.
So yeah, I mean, at least,
One, yeah.
it, in your own ways, you can actually, like, even with or without the magic wand, right?
One key point I would like to mention here would be, we are in a very sensitive, very delicate situation because of
Mhm.
COVID and a
Mhm.
lot of things. I think relationship building is very vital.
Yes.
We have to make sure that as leaders, we have to be open-minded. We have to understand the employees.
Mhm.
We have to discuss with them the implications or whatever, and build a closeness with the employees.
Mhm.
This will help the organization. The more you get to know them, uh, the more you're closer to employees.
Mhm.
They sort of eradicate the fear within them,
Mhm.
or the over conscious way of the COVID situation,
Yeah.
understanding their plight, I know this is very important. The importance of one-on-one is beneficial to both the employees as well
Mhm.
as the management of the team. So
Exactly.
I think relationship building during this period of time is very vital.
Yeah, I think even before COVID, it has been like it's always been like an important factor that we have to do. And like what I just want to share from a shock, Jambor, thank you for giving a comment. Empathy is key, yes. And it's and that's the reason why we've been always hearing around empathy, compassion, like what you've also shared. Being a leader, you have to be compassionate about it.
Mm,
And also, like, we've been hearing a lot around emotional intelligence as a leader. And
mm,
again, these are all like, I mean, like in your background, this is like a lot of the things that you do in the organization as an HR leader, right? But at the same time, we have to remind the leaders that it's everyone's responsibility.
mm.
You don't pass it on to HR to, to coach, to educate, to train, or to actually help your team members, or even sometimes to like have the crucial conversations with them. It's not HR's responsibility, it's
Yes,
everyone's responsibility, and it's a leader's responsibility to build that relationship
yes,
within the team or within the organization.
sure.
Yeah. And oh, thank you. Like all soft skills, training people to demonstrate empathy consistently is not easy. Very true. I agree with you on that, Ashok. I know it's not easy, but it can be done, right?
Yes, sure, sure.
Yeah, so that leads me to my final question, Chris. If you were to ask yourself a question that you can best answer, what would it be?
If you were to ask me a question, what would it be?
If you ask yourself a question that you can best answer, what would it be? So what's your question? And probably, like, since you can best answer it, might as well answer it for us.
uh, well, I would, I would. How do I frame the question? If I have a question, um,
I know it's a difficult question.
yes, indeed, indeed, there are so many things that come running across my mind, but um, the quality of a leader, I think this is vital in all aspects, for the
Mhm,
organization. Um Responsibilities pertaining to leadership,
mhm,
how much are we aware of our responsibilities, because we are responsible to the management, we are responsible to our subordinates, we are
mhm,
responsible to our colleagues, same level. There are so many things. So this is very vital. um, and another thing I would like to say, that in my experience, I have encountered people who are lackadaisical, or people who do not have the courage to take responsibilities. They do not want to take the responsibilities to be effective leaders. So, as a leader, my question will be, how upfront are you in leading your team, taking responsibility? Um, you mentioned earlier on, empathy,
mhm,
and I caught that word. It's quite close to my chest. How empathetic are our leaders? Like recognizing the employee's plight, how they feel, entering their minds, talking to them, counseling them, assisting them. How much of effort is being taken by the leaders?
mhm,
Yeah, I think these are very important, and the passion for the organization, passion about the goals of the employees.
mhm.
How involved are the leaders within the organization? These are the areas that I would like to get leaders to focus on.
Yes, thank you. And as much as I would like to get that credit, it was a shock who reminded us about empathy as being the key skill for leaders, right?
Yes.
So thank you for
Yes.
that, Ashok. So and again, like the question of how much are we aware of our responsibility is really a good question to ask ourselves, right? And at
Yes.
the end of the day, it's all about like what I've mentioned earlier, right? Leaders has to be accountable for their team
Sure.
members as well, and their well-being, their learning, and like how they can actually improve. And at the end of the day, as leaders, we're also here to mentor, to coach, and to develop or grow our team as well. So, and
Yes.
it's all about being accountable to yourself, to others, and to the people that you lead, or to your stakeholders in general, right?
Yes.
So it's really about having that accountability and ownership as well. So
Mm.
thank you, Ashok, for for engaging with us live and for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
My
So
pleasure.
yeah, before we end this conversation, Chris, is there any like reminder or message that you'd like to leave our audience with?
I have one point that I want to
Mm-hmm.
register.
Mm-hmm.
This is on confidence of leaders.
Mm-hmm.
How confident the leaders are. Sorry, how confident the leaders are. A leader should instill confidence among
Mm-hmm.
all the
Yes.
employees,
Mm-hmm.
management,
Mm-hmm.
and the followership by having a
Mm-hmm.
clear vision. Are they aware? Are they fully aware of the vision of the organization? And they have to be a strong um, coach,
Mm-hmm.
and then they should be showing empathy towards all employees. Because we are in a very, the dilemma now we are facing is very critical.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if people are not saying soothing words, comforting words to our employees, and sort of leave them alone, or I want to take care of myself first, no, that will not help. So confidence is something very critical. I want to say that as my parting shot.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that message to us, and hope our audience is inspired or
Thank
motivated
you.
with the message that you have shared with us. And I'm flashing as well the free virtual team building that will be launching this coming 19th of April at 11 in the morning Singapore time. So if you'd like
Hmm.
to join us as well, I mean, these are mainly for HR leaders,
Sure.
um, trainers,
Yeah.
L&D practitioners, as well as
Right.
team leads. I mean, we got a comment in one of our runs that she said, "Hey, this is not for just for L&D team. This is not just for HR. This is also
Right.
for us." I mean, it will help us engage our team members as a
Sure.
team leader. And so, like, yeah, everyone who actually leads team is also invited.
Sure.
We will post again like the link later on in the comment section.
Right.
And thank you so much again, Chris, for your
No,
time,
I
for your
thank you.
valuable insights.
I thank you, and I thank all the other participants of the Remedy, and
Mhm,
for giving me this opportunity and listening to little tips that I may have.
mhm.
And I also have learned a lot from you too, Marilyn. The
Thank you.
sharing is wonderful. I've never stopped learning. I've never stopped sharing from other learned people too.
Mhm.
It's an opportunity you have given me, and I thank you wholeheartedly. Thank you very
Wow,
much.
you're welcome. It's my pleasure to be able to contribute, to be able to add value, and to also learn from people around us, including you and
Sure,
Ashok, who also commented to us,
sure,
reminded us about empathy. And thank you for those who watch us live, and for those who will watch us on a replay. Join us in this journey to create opportunities for everyone, to like create the world that we wanted to have, instead of like focusing on the things that
yes,
are unlikely. Let's focus on building the world that we would like to live in, right? And remember that even the richest investors in the world
right,
would say that investing in yourself is the best investment you can ever make in your
sure,
life.
Sure.
So, with that, we would like to leave everyone with this quote that if your actions create a legacy that
Right.
inspires others to dream more,
Right.
learn more, do more, and become more, then
Sure.
you are an
Right.
excellent leader.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes.
Melin, I
Mm.
just have one point which I forgot just now.
Oh, sure.
Uh, as a continuity of my profession,
Mm-hmm.
over the years that I have
Mm-hmm.
gathered, garnered
Mm-hmm.
a lot of support and learning.
Mm-hmm.
I have gone into a venture of my own, which is called
Mm-hmm.
Wed Power HR Management
Mm-hmm.
Private
Mm-hmm.
Limited. I'm the
Mm-hmm.
CEO of the company,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just going on in pursuit of enhancing the knowledge of other people in the same
Mm-hmm.
manner. So
Yes.
just want to tell you that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us. And again, I look forward to collaborate with you as well to, add more value to others.
Sure.
And thank you, Mr. Chris Anthony. William shared with us, and another one
Yes.
from Sophia. Thank you, Mr. Anthony, for your
Thank you.
sharing. So we appreciate that. And if you are enjoying um our like the creation of our contents, please feel free to support us, to follow us, or to buy a coffee for us. I just shared the link as well. I've been missing going out as well, so I mean, by that way at least you can support us in
Right.
creating more contents to add value to you. So thank you so much, Chris, and to everyone
Sure.
who's watching
Sure.
us, and looking forward to the next interview and to other interventions.
Sure.
Thank
Thank you very
you.
much, Melin.
Have a good day.
Yes, you
Bye.
too. Thank you. Bye. Bye.